Hello, I'm Simon. Welcome back to my workshop. Now I'm still on a mission to try and get rid of these cupboards behind me, and to do that I've got to get all of my tools out of them and onto the tool wall. So in this video I'm going to be tackling a wall mount for my power file. Let's get tinkering. This is a cheap 260 watts power belt file made by Silverline, and I often forget that I've got it because it's sitting in the cupboard. Now what I want to do is store this on the wall, one, so that I know it's there and it's readily available to use, and two, so that it's no longer in the cupboard. So I've got one less thing in the cupboard. Once the cupboard's empty, I'm going to get rid of it. The tool itself has a long lead on it and a sanding belt. I've also got to store the spare sanding belt somewhere and the little dust extractor hose adapter thing. Then I can get rid of this box and it'll all be out the cupboard. Before I tackle how I'm going to make a wall mount for this, there's one thing I want to do, and that is to reduce the length of this cable. Now that might seem a bit mad, but what I'm going to do is put one of these sockets on it. This is a 10 amp 240 volt, so it's good for 2400 watts. This is only I think I said it was a 240 watt. This has got 10 times more capacity than is needed, and then I've got lots of 13 amp extension leads that I can plug into here, and that means I haven't got to worry about this dangling cable when it's on the wall. It'll just keep it nice and neat. I'm not a qualified electrician, and regulations for mains voltage vary a lot around the world, so I'm not going to show you how I did this. If you're unsure how to do this, don't do it. Get someone qualified to do it for you. So I've added this kettle socket. All I need to do now is test it. So I've been looking at the shape of this, trying to work out the best way to store it on the wall, and I think probably the best approach will be to put a clip around here with a back plate, and then the back plate can have some other accessories on it like the hose and the belts. And I think I might make this clip here with a bit of plastic. I've got this piece of kitchen waste pipe. It's a little bit narrower than the whole of this, but I think I might be able to adapt it to work as a clip. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be strong enough or not, but we'll experiment and see. So I want to measure this angle, so I'm going to use this angle gauge to do it. It doesn't have to be super perfect, it's just so I can transcribe it onto the pipe. It's about there. It happens to be about 105 degrees. Just tighten that down and it won't move. I think the easiest way of marking this up will be to use some masking tape. But before I cut any angles, I'm just going to cut a small amount off so it's easier to handle. Here I'm just cutting it roughly to length and then splitting it down the middle. I gently warm the tube using the hot air gun, then prise it open. I use a couple of the boxes just to leave it wedged open while it cools. Having transcribed the angle onto the open tube, I now cut at that angle. I now draw where I want the second cut to go, and cut that out as well. I use a hot air gun to prise the corners out. This will make it a lot easier to fit the tool. Here I'm just taking the sharpness off the corners. So I'm designing this on the fly really. I've got this old piece of MDF. It used to be the bottom of a seat, and I'm thinking I can put a clip there and then the spare belts, perhaps there like that. This will clip in there like that, so probably move that down a little. And then to hold these belts in place, I've got this old table leg, and I'm thinking this shamp from the table leg going out would actually help hold the belts in place. I'm sort of thinking like that, chop it off about here. I think that'll be quite a good job. Here I'm cutting the backboard to size on the table saw. So I was originally going to cut this piece off. This is where there was a little brass cap for the leg, but I think that actually this little recess here, if I cut a hole to fit this in the back plate, then that will actually make quite a nice fitting rather than just trying to screw up the back of it. I've added this piece of tape because this is tapering, thought it'd be an easier way of trying to work out exactly what angle to cut this at, and I'm going to cut it with a handsaw because I don't think it's particularly safe to do it with the bandsaw or the table saw. Here I'm just removing the varnish so that I get a better adhesion with the glue. Here I'm just laying out one final time where I want the parts to go, and I'll mark them up and then I can fix them to the backboard. The hole I drilled is just slightly too small, just a smidgen. For those who aren't sure what a smidgen is, it's about quarter, maybe half a millimetre. So I make it a bit bigger using the oscillating spindle sander. I offer it up and readjust. I hand sand this piece just to get rid of the old varnish, which is flaking off anyway. I add some paint to the backboard. And then some tile to the peg. I'm now drilling some pilot holes and fitting the plastic adapter to the back plate. I'm also drilling some pilot holes on the back plate so that I can fix it to the wall. Then I glue in the belt holder. And I'm now ready to screw it to the wall. Well, that's the end of another video. I hope you enjoyed watching an ordinary bloke with ordinary skills making stuff for their workshop. If you did, then please leave a thumbs up. And if you're interested in more videos like this about workshop organisation, then have a look at these videos. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.